families to relive the agony again. Leslie Mahaffey's mother wrote, "It feels like another exhumation, another violation, another loss." From Kristen French's parents, "Time doesn't heal the pain. The pain is a life sentence." And now these parole hearings every couple of years just add to their trauma. CTV's John Venevali-Rao.
Sometimes the old saying is, the victim serve a life sentence.
Bernardo was arrested 28 years ago and has been behind bars ever since. Still, he's been able to torment the families of Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French with troubling regularity. The latest example, what he said during a failed bid for freedom today.
It was shameful, and it was designed for his personal, perverted entertainment.
At his first parole hearing in 2018, it took the board just a half an hour to reject him. Now the families wonder why Bernardo got another hearing less than 3 years later. As Mahaffey's mother put it, forcing his horrors and terrifying memories upon us. What does resting in peace mean when you have to relive these horrors every 2 or so years for the rest of our lives? Under current legislation, dangerous offenders are entitled to a hearing every 2 years. But the families say that should be changed for Bernardo to at least 5 years.
It really is a gut-wrenching experience for them. It's difficult, it's hard, everything comes back.
Bernardo not only assaulted and murdered French and Mahaffey, he also admitted to raping 14 other women. French's parents, as they did the last time, appeared at today's hearing. Her mother said, "It seems that just as the ink has dried on our previous victim impact statement, Doug and I have to muster up the strength to prepare a second statement." This time via video from jail, Bernardo claimed to have empathy for his victims. And
Yeah,
was a
right.
low risk. Some of his crimes were filmed with then-wife Carla Homolka, who was released after serving 12 years for her role. Bernardo said, "I believe Carla Homolka was my victim, but she did offend and is responsible to the law and to the victims for what she did." Adding, Homolka was as guilty in participating in the murders as I was. She transferred the blame onto me and got the 12-year deal. The victims' families were deeply disturbed by a scenario Bernardo pitched, that he be released to a halfway house in BC and pick fruit.
Begs the question, as far as they were concerned, what planet is he living on? This is just so far detached from reality.
After deliberating less than an hour, Bernardo's parole bid was again denied, saying he remains a high risk for reoffending.
The parole board essentially says that he's done nothing in the last 2 years to improve the situation.
A spokesperson for the public safety minister said they know parole hearings can take a significant toll on those involved and welcomed the decision to keep Bernardo behind bars. Lisa.
John Venevali-Rao on the families of...
Good to have you with us here on CTV News Channel. I'm Todd Vanderhayden. It's 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 Pacific. Breaking news involving one of our country's most notorious killers, Paul Bernardo. He has just been denied parole again. Marks the second time Bernardo has been denied freedom. His first was 2 years ago, and that was rejected in just 30 minutes. Bernardo is serving a life sentence for his crimes in the 1980s and early 1990s that included kidnapping, torture, and the killing of these 2 young women. Kristen French, Leslie Mahaffey. It happened near St. Catharines, Ontario. Let's bring in CTV's Angie Seth, who's standing by with more on this breaking news. Angie.
Yeah, good to see you, Todd. So I'm just going to read you a statement that we've just released here. This is from the parole board saying, quote, "Our decision today is to deny day parole and full parole. While you have participated in programming, your understanding and insight remains limited, and as a result, we concur with the assessments you remain to be a high risk for sexual reoffending." So that is a statement coming in from Maureen Gauci. That is from the parole board based on their decision that they made today. And as you mentioned there, this is Paul Bernardo's second attempt at freedom. His first was over 2.5 years ago. At the time, it took the panel about 30 minutes or so to deliberate that decision. Both families, we know today, read their victim impact statements, reliving, again, that horrific loss of their daughters, never being able to experience the milestones in their lives, never having any real closure. And in those statements, they both, the French and Mahaffey families, quoted Justice Lesage, the same judge who presided at Bernardo's dangerous offender application back in 1995.
I love that.
And he said,
Exactly. You should never be released. Motherfucker needs to rot in his cell.
Released, the behavioral restraint that you require.
He's just as
jail,
bad, if not
require
worse, than a
advisors
stone cold
to be in
killer.
jail for the rest of your natural life.
Because
Well,
motherfuckers like that and a stone cold killer,
psycho-
a serial rapist, a stone cold murderer have no remorse. They have no regrets. They are vile. They are
I know we're in a
disgusting.
different day and age of low self-esteem and a different culture, but it doesn't matter whether you're in 1995 or 2021. This was not a spur-of-the-moment, one-day spree. So he would have to delve into the reasons he did this.
And in terms of that reasoning, Bernardo also released...
Nobody's gonna buy that. You can see what you want, you piece of shit.
About, and this is a little bit in part here, where he says he sincerely apologized to everyone I put through that sickening and horrific ordeal. He said that he was accountable for every offense he did, referring to himself as a first-time offender, as well as saying that he is virtuous. That sickening and horrific ordeal, of course, we know dates back to his 1995 conviction and life sentence for his crimes, as we mentioned there in the 80s and 90s, including the kidnapping and torturing of Christian French and Leslie Mahaffey near St. Catharines, Ontario. Also, in addition to the raping of 14 other women and the death of Karla Homolka's 15-year-old sister, Tammy. In every parole hearing, this being his second, the board would have had access, and they do have access, to thousands of pages in Bernardo's case that include risk assessments. Those records remain private. However, the Mahaffey and French families have been fighting for years to have access to this entire file, Todd, and those documents would include transcripts, audio and video recording of the parole hearing, as well as any other materials pertaining to his case. So as it stands right now, Todd, he has been denied once again both full and day parole. However, we would be looping back on this once again in about 2.5 years, as he'll have another chance.
Fuck that. They shouldn't be 2.5 years. Should be every 5, maybe better off. Yeah, I would do every 10 fucking years for that piece of shit. Just saying.